In this part, I'm turning attention on a few things in the second step in this kind of beekeeping. In this step, there are more complicated tasks, and it would be good, I think, to be prepared for it, at least theoretically. If it seems to be complicated or difficult, it is only for someone who do it for the first time. These few clips I am presenting may, hopefully, help as something as the kind of half of the second step for novices. Encouraging thing to take this step is that it will be rewarded by a pleasure of tasting real, fresh, virgin honey as a gift from your own bees, as a gratitude for taking care of them. What could be more pleasant? Such a beautiful view, the most probably will crown the first step, but not necessarily always. I have mentioned in part 1 that bees, mostly during their intense activities, may have some ideas not quite as we would like to see, so to spy on them, what they do and how, it is not only interesting, but also necessary. In this type of hives we have a window, but this might be not sufficient, and often our intervention is necessary, and in such case we have to open the hive and manipulate with bars on which plasters hangs. It is relatively simple if we start from the distal side of nest, as here. Because the nest is above the lotec, the entrance, and the lotec is by the one of walls on which the hive stands. To get to the first plaster from this side is very difficult, and such attempts usually ends up with catastrophe. To avoid such catastrophe, when we want to get to the brood from this side instead of from a honey storage area, I made something like a false plaster and call it phantom. This is styrofoam 2 inches thick, attached to a wooden bar. The shape is exactly as transverse shape of hive cavity. After sliding it up, I have space wide enough to get in with my podcinacz, cut the first plaster off the walls, if this is necessary, and then proceed as I would do it from the easier side, the honey storage area. This is something I have mentioned about before, when the bees had idea to experiment and decided to build their plaster differently than common bee standard, namely along the line of bar. That process was already advanced, so it was not so easy to correct it, and I have had to make a few cuts off. As you see, the bee quickly repaired this, but they are still building this plaster not exactly as they should, and deviates slightly from the line of the bar. This, what is now, is much easier to correct than before without great damage. It is warm, so the plaster is soft, and this led us to bend it, make some cuts and appropriate corrections, and to have hope that they now will continue their work as we would like them to do. It would be good practice to check this next day. The plaster is very delicate, so it has to be handled very gently. When plaster is already initialized correctly along entire bar, possibility that there will be some anomaly in further plaster construction is minimal. Another idea my little bee suddenly think out was to start to build this plaster at straight angle to all the other plaster they have already built before. How they calculated this 90 degrees I don't know, but I know that they did it very precisely. Why they did it, or what reason, I also don't know. But I suspect that they probably experiment similar as I do with different sizes of my hives and its shapes. Here's something I'm not quite proud of. As up to now, my experiments nobody destroyed yet, but I had to do something with their experiment, because this experiment was completely contrary to my experiments. So, reluctantly, with shame, I had to destroy it. Bees have ideas, we have ideas, and do experiment. Bees certainly do too. How these ideas and experiments relates to each other, means ideas of Apis mellifera versus Homo sapiens, we can see, and it is reflected in the actual situation in beekeeping, which is not good at all. These experiments and ideas helped them, I think, to survive millions of years. However, ideas and experiments of Homo, known also as sapiens, caused a result that bees die in mass scale. Both these experiments, and particularly these of Homo, are done in good intention, but whether those of experiments of Homo are so sapiens, I have often great doubt. Mixing different bee species, native to different regions, even different continents, climates and environments, varieties of procedure including changing genetics of bees, crossbreeding, application of then various chemicals, introducing to environment depleted uranium, genetically modified vegetation, some of it known to be poisonous for bees, and very long list of experiments and practices of this homo called sapiens, which are poisoning our environment, are the reason for tragic situation in which bees are, and of course not only bees. This small corrective procedure, in my conviction, not necessarily of bees, are not making them too much harm. They will repair it very quickly, but it will be appreciated at the time when such plaster will be full of honey and ready to pull out for harvest. Even such small deviations could make it more difficult. Such small cut-offs placed on the grill or falling on it very quickly will be dried off and nectar in it, and dry wax will be ready to remove at the time of next inspection. To put in a bar-to-bar with plasters is somewhat troublesome, because between bars are bees, and to avoid crushing them, these have to be done carefully. I worked out a method to do it a bit more efficiently, but about it in a next occasion, when I will demonstrate and talk about other little things related to tending bees and generally related to this kind of beekeeping, but this will be the third step. You probably noticed, with some surprise, that I don't use a smoker, wear a protective armor, or even a veil, and I'm still alive. Also, that my little bees are quite well without any chemicals. So far, my bees bravely resist all adversities, but it doesn't mean that it will be like this forever in present environment. That I don't wear any armor, this is a result of experience and feeling when a veil is necessary. Not only necessary, but absolutely necessary. And not only a veil, but entire armor, and rather a good one. In my practice, I'm avoiding such situation when an armor is necessary, so I even don't have one. And I'm still alive. Oh, well, so far. So far, because someday they, the bees of course, may recognize me as a terrorist, arrest me, or kill on the spot, as a fundamental Islamic terrorist, anti-Semite and anti-American altogether. Certainly, it will be their mistake, but even they admit such mistake, it will be too late. I don't give my bees reason for concerns. I take care of them, build them comfortable, warm home. I don't treat them with some nasty chemicals, nor horrible smoke from which they have to air their home for a long time. So they treat me friendly. Sometimes, as a matter of fact, I take from them a bit of honey if they accumulated more than they need. They don't recognize this as something very bad, because they know that I've leaved them enough for possible drought and for winter. Sometimes, however, during this process, some disoriented and overzealous youngsters don't recognize me and suspiciously are interested of my face. But these are youngsters, so it is forgivable. When, however, I have to get to their nest, I know that they will not tolerate it easy, such insult. In such situation, I just put my head with a veil instead of using American tanks and heavily armed and trained contractors, the kind used in Iraq and Afghanistan. Bees forgive me my intrusion relatively fast, and our relation remains friendly. This is a relatively new hobby, improving itself year by year, but only since several years ago, so there is wide and open road toward perfection. There are plenty of all kinds of excellent and inexpensive material, and it's easy to build such hives, even if this would necessitate little help from local carpenter. There are plenty of hobbies. However, when condition of physical fitness, because of age or other limitation, not let us to enjoy and play on huge waves of Okipa or snowy slopes of Colorado or Utah, playing with bees is quite sweet occupation. So, also in this aspect, different occupations and different hobbies may in great deal depend on our actual ability.